YouTube. What the fuck happened there? NHS were on the telly, right? NHS were on the telly, and an old man fell down the stairs, right? And that's what my mum done. She fell down the stairs. And I thought, well, NHS is shit. They are rubbish. NHS are rubbish.
The deadliest on Earth. Today, thousands of tourists squeeze themselves into the underground passageways. They come to see how the Viet Cong hid from their Western enemies and moved about undetected.
The Viet Cong were drivers of stealth warfare, and their vehicles were very much these underground tunnels stretching for tens of thousands of miles.
Across South Vietnam, this vast labyrinth of tunnels was built with nothing but hand tools. During the monsoon season, vast armies of labourers dug down into the soft clay soils. And when the dry season came, the tunnels hardened into a rock-solid structure. These tunnels gave the Viet Cong a crucial element of surprise over their American enemies, allowing them to creep up at close quarters and launch sudden ambushes. In 1966, an Australian army unit discovered a tunnel entrance by chance and realised they had to explore it further. The very first soldier to go down was a young officer in the Australian Engineer Corps, Captain Sandy McGregor.
We'd never been down a tunnel. I decided that I was going to be the first one down.
Sandy came from a military family, and he believed it was his duty as a commanding officer to lead from the front. This photo shows the very moment he went in.
I got my sergeant to put my feet together. He lowered me down head first. There's not many sounds. There's not many sounds at all. It's like it's eerie blackness.
Sandy and the troops who followed him found that the tunnels were specially designed with trapdoors, dead ends, and hiding places. They knew that somewhere down there, enemy troops were waiting to attack.
It was scary to the extreme. We had IED, unexploded bombs, booby traps. Could anything be more extreme than that?
There were all kinds of hazards down in those tunnels. There were snakes and rats and things, but there were also sharpened sticks. And especially, the enemy was down there and knew you're coming their way from you.
Down in the tunnels, the fighting was brutal. Every mission was potentially lethal. But then, in a tunnel complex just 16 kilometers from Saigon, they found out why the Viet Cong was fighting so hard to defend every inch of their tunnels.
We actually discovered the Viet Cong headquarters in the Cu Chi tunnels.
The tunnels contained the Viet Cong command post.
We pulled out of there over 500,000 pieces of paper, let alone things like ammunition and radios and all this sort of stuff. It was the biggest intelligence find of the war.
As they explored further, they found hospitals, weapons stockpiles, and food stores, all hidden from view with secret exits and entrances. It became clear that the underground war in Vietnam was unwinnable. During the day, Sandy would go through a tunnel and make sure it was empty, and then retreat to his camp above ground. But at night, the Viet Cong would return.
We heard the enemy come back into those tunnels. Sometimes we could hear their voices, and we think, we're going to go back in there tomorrow. We're going to go back in there tomorrow. That's when it gets scary.
Terrifying memory of a brutal underground war. At 7, we're hiding out in the USA to ride out the end of the world in our safest tunnel. Vietnam had its deadly passageways, but this survival bunker in Kansas is the polar opposite. It has blast doors, 5-star living, and 24/7 surveillance. This nuclear missile silo may be the safest tunnel you'll ever visit. The Great Plains of Kansas. Flat, frozen, and featureless. But underground lies a network of forgotten tunnels. And property developer Larry Hall has bought them. Following the 9/11 attacks and the birth of his first child, Larry's thoughts naturally turned to the coming apocalypse. And where better to ride it out than this Cold War era missile silo, one of the strongest structures ever built by man.
This is a very heavy 2,000-pound door. These teeth right here you see are pretty substantial. These would interlock into these grooves all along here, these welded things, and it's a very formidable door. It was designed, of course, to keep a nuclear blast shockwave out.
Larry Hall's missile silos are the ultimate piece of Cold War Army surplus, built in the 60s to hold nuclear warheads. There were 72 of these top-secret facilities scattered across the United States. They housed missiles over 100 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb of 1945. In 1962, a change of military strategy led them to be abandoned. But Larry sees 21st century potential down here. He is embarking upon grand designs, Kansas style. And by spending millions of dollars, he's turning this into this. For people like Larry, it's the perfect survivalist's paradise. Whatever flavor of catastrophe is coming our way, he's prepped for it.
This facility was designed as a one-size-fits-all, and you can pick your poison about what your fears are, whether it's civil unrest or a solar flare or a meteor or global climate change or an F5 tornado or an earthquake, a volcanic eruption, all of these things.
Larry has everything he needs to survive underground for 5 long years. He has a 24/7 fully functioning control center. When Armageddon is raging outside, Larry will be watching in high definition.
We can look at day vision, night vision. We have lethal and non-lethal defensive systems here. There's lower hanging fruit than trying to break into this place. It would probably end badly.
With any gate crashers kept out, Larry can concentrate on keeping himself fed and watered. He plans to grow his own supply of vegetables, using human waste to feed this indoor hydroponic garden. He'll farm fish in these huge tanks. And for everything else, he has a delicious array of canned food. But it's not all about raw survival.
We've got a movie theater. We've got an arcade for the kids. We have a rock climbing wall. We have a great resort-style pool.
This pool offers hours of fun for all the family. And it also serves a more serious purpose. It's at the top of the silo, so the water also shields the inhabitants below from lethal nuclear particles. Win-win. Property developer Larry has built 12 luxury condos down here, each with space for up to 10 people. It's the lap of luxury. And it's yours until the end of time. Or at least until the oxygen runs out. The price tag? $3 million. Cash. Anyone is welcome, as long as they have the money. And there's clearly a market for these condos. Larry has sold all of them, keeping just one back for himself.
Not only are we 65 feet underground, but we have a luxury high-end condominium with all the comforts, including electronic view of what's going on outside, and have a hot cup of coffee. Perfect.
So relax, enjoy your skinny latte in a styrofoam cup, and use your electronic windows to watch the world come to an end. With Larry in charge, this nuclear missile silo is surely the safest tunnel in the world. But buyers beware. Once that glass door closes, you may never be able to leave. At number 6, it's the weirdest tunnel in China. All tunnels are long, straight, dark, and monotonous, right? Wrong. We're going down the rabbit hole to take a trip along the Bund Tunnel in Shanghai. A psychedelic magic carpet ride, 647 meters long. This is the weirdest tunnel in the world. The Bund isn't the only tunnel in the world to use multicolored lights, but elsewhere they're used for more serious reasons. 25 kilometers long, the Lærdal Tunnel in Norway is the longest road tunnel on the planet. Here, the lighting scheme changes regularly to keep drivers alert. In the megacity of Shanghai, spectacular light displays form part of the city's cultural identity. But beneath these skyscrapers lies an even more bizarre experience. When it opened in 2000, the Bund Tunnel was intended as an amusement for tourists. It offers a different way to get across the Huangpu River from old Shanghai to the modern financial district of Lujia Square. But you need a banker's deep pockets for this ride. It's 8 times more expensive than the ferry.
The Bund pedestrian tunnel is basically like the world's worst Disney ride. You sit in this car and weird lights and sound effects are blasted at you.
This sensory overload is kept up for a head-spinning 5 minutes. And the Chinese seem to love it, because so far 2 million people have taken this trip. It may not be your ideal tourist destination, but our weirdest tunnel shines, a symbol of the Chinese high-tech revolution. Next up, we'll be staying in China to see a very different tunnel. This one was made with nothing but blood, sweat, and pickaxes.
Sarah Beanie and Damien Burrows meet the people who start small and dare to dream big.
Have you done something like this before?
No. With a grand vision to supersize their home.
Where has the back of your house gone?
You we were going to extend now to this scale.
Maximizing a tight budget.
I'm not sure why you don't turn the house the other way up.
I think that sounds amazing.
They transform their tiny place
Wow. I mean, look at that.
into a spacious modern masterpiece.
Oh, well, this delivered. That's lovely.
Bang, the whole space just opens up. Eye on design, eye on style. Here's exactly how we want it.
Sarah Beanie's Little House Big Plans starts Thursday at 8 on Channel 4. All episodes available after on all 4.
I came from nothing. The story I'm about to tell you about can only happen in the USA. I need $20,000. I can't give you a room.
The state pays for every dead python we bring in.
Would you want to team up?
Okay.
Brand new series Killing It starts Wednesday from 10 on E4 and All 4.
Any operators on stage?
Jackie, have you looked in the audience?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
All 4. First and funny.
Whales have been on Earth for 50 million years. Now they're washing up on beaches all over Britain. I'm on a mission to find out what's going on. If we get to the bottom of it, we may reverse the fate of these beautiful creatures. What Killed the Whale, Sunday at 9 on Channel 4 and All 4.
In China, 21st century tunnels are full of bright lights and high-end technology. But now we're climbing up into Henan Province's mountains to find our riskiest tunnel. 1,200 kilometers away from the bright lights of Shanghai, this is the village of Guoliang. It's perched high on a cliff, and so remote that the 350 inhabitants had nothing but a steep mountain path to the nearest road. That is until 1972, when the villagers decided to risk their lives and carve out this 1.6 kilometer tunnel with their bare hands.
好像是听他们当地人说是，他们从上面锁链垂下来，然后一锤子一锤子凿。
This is the Guoliang Tunnel, the world's riskiest. Locked in the mountains of Henan Province, Guoliang is cut off from the outside world. The only way to connect up the village was by carving diagonally through this enormous cliff face. An impossible task, right? Not if you're from this village. Back in the 70s, Shen Chunfu was a young farmer in Guoliang. He was tired of the 2-hour walk on this dangerous path to take his produce to market. So he and his friends decided to build themselves a road tunnel with no help from the outside world. Their only tools were hammers, chisels, and the odd stick of dynamite.
这个路是72年开始修的，修了5年零2个月。这个石头太硬不好修，都是一推一牵手工修出来的，就是这样，把这个石头赶前打出来，就这样修，就这样修，修个花样以后再放炮。
Shen Chunfu worked with a dozen of his friends. Each day, they would carve a meter of the new tunnel by hanging off the cliffs and hacking at the rock face.
真是怕，那你有空嘛掉下去，有空嘛上面掉石头，打个安全帽，都是提醒着的。那你不，你也得修，掉下去那个人叫个万坏蛋。
So if this was a normal construction project, you'd have huge earth-moving machines, borers, diggers. You'd have a whole fleet of modern technology. These guys had nothing.
One thing the villagers did have was sheer determination. But as they dug further along the cliff face, the mountain struck back.
你知道这个地方掉下一个人，因为什么掉下来了？因为这个上面你瞧，那石头崩炮的时候崩下来一大块，那裂碎的大了掉下来以后，那个他当时没有那个护栏，那个人就是出来一看，见那个大石头把人滚下去了。
Carving out the mile-long tunnel took 5 hard years. Being connected to the outside world transformed the village. But the finished road was a serious health hazard.
It's dangerous enough driving through this tunnel on a clear sunny day. If you go on a day where there are downpours and there's mountain fog, it can be extremely hazardous.
Even in good weather, cars, trucks and buses play a deadly game of chicken at every corner.
这边很危险，那你刚一个车从下面往上拉的拐嘛，到这边上没有护栏，就搁这个地方掉下去了。掉下去以后，4个人掉下4个人，死的3个。
Despite the tragedies here, this tunnel remains open. And every year, 250,000 tourists come to admire the hand-carved tunnel of Guoliang. Shen Chunfu didn't just build a tunnel, he created a modern wonder.
感觉那个洞那么长，然后他们凿出来，感觉他们人壮观，然后造的地方也壮观。
Now, at number 4, we're going to Afghanistan to see the roughest tunnel on the planet. The Salang Pass tunnel is a product of Afghanistan's war-torn history. Built in haste by the Soviets in 1964, it's been left in ruins by years of conflict. But despite the damage and dangers, the tunnel remains a strategic route through this mountainous country. Winter 2001. US troops were advancing through Afghanistan in their war against the Taliban. The Salang Pass Road was a key link in their supply chain. It is the only winter route between the capital Kabul and northern Afghanistan.
This tunnel is very important to the Afghans in the sense it's a lifeline between Central Asia and Afghanistan. But it's also a very key route for NATO forces in terms of supplying soldiers with food, with medicine, and anything else they might need.
The Salang Pass Road winds through a network of covered galleries leading up through the Hindu Kush Mountains. And at the top is the 2.5-kilometer tunnel itself. The American troops found the tunnel in a terrible condition, but they needed to keep it open. A team of Army engineers was sent to fix this vital death trap, led by Mark Jones.
The conditions were incredibly extreme when you came into the Salon approach up the tunnel, which was over 12,000 feet at its highest point. In the winter, 12 to 20 feet of snow.
Jones was working with a team of military engineers and hundreds of Afghan workers. But he soon realized the tunnel had a huge list of problems. First, traffic. Built to handle 1,000 cars a day, the tunnel was now carrying 10 times that.
When we first got up there were over 400 trucks waiting to go through the tunnel.
It was more than just a problem of gridlock. With every vehicle that went in, the tunnel became even more dangerous.
With so much dust and dirt, the trucks would build up the dirt you couldn't see. Adding to that, you get this buildup of carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide has no taste or smell. But if a simple traffic jam leaves you stuck in the tunnel, the exhaust gas can kill you in minutes. In this tunnel, extreme levels claimed several lives every year. And the challenges facing Mark Jones continued. As drivers queued to pass through the Salang Tunnel, they were vulnerable to an even deadlier threat that came from the mountains themselves. "250 avalanches hit this area every year.
If you have an avalanche, you're stuck. You can't go back down, so it really becomes a battle of endurance.
In 2010, 17 avalanches tore through the area in one day. Over 2,000 people were rescued, but more than 160 died. Getting traffic moving quickly through the tunnel was crucial, and so Mark Jones and his team of engineers installed a new road surface, lighting and ventilation, and a power plant to keep it all running.
The tunnel hasn't been in such good repair for decades, and it truly was a team effort to make it happen.
Mark Jones's tour of duty is now over. The Salang Tunnel has been handed over to Afghan control, and the world's roughest tunnel is now a vital lifeline for this war-torn country. Up next, we're in the Swiss Alps for our largest tunnels. Over 250 kilometers of tunnel, linking the industrial heart of Northern Europe with Italy and the Mediterranean. It's the Gotthard Tunnel Network. They're the world's largest. But if you're inside them when things go wrong, these tunnels are your worst nightmare. Beneath the mountains of Switzerland, the 16-kilometer-long Gotthard Road Tunnel carries 5 million cars and 5 million lorries each year. It cuts a straight path between Zurich and Milan. Truck driver Philippe Trausnick must take on this tunnel every week.
We have a lot of tunnels in Switzerland, but this is the longest, and I think for a lot of people, the extremes tunnel, the darkest tunnel.
Something about traveling through a tunnel that just by its nature seems unnatural. You're in this strange, cramped place and you can't get out. It just awakens the most primal level of fear.
Built in 1980, the tunnel is just 2 lanes wide and there's no crash barrier. An accident can have catastrophic consequences.
It's horrible when you have an accident here in the tunnel. I remember that this was a truck that was burning.
That accident came in 2001. 2 trucks collided and a deadly fire broke out 1.5 kilometers from the exit. Dozens of people were trapped. Emergency response expert Beppe Saveri Borioli was one of the first to arrive. All he could see was black smoke billowing from the entrance.
Smoke means fire. Fire means no oxygen. Fire means toxic. Toxic means death.
Beppe and his team had to go in. As he approached the fire, he prepared for the worst.
We could feel the smelling of fire still, and there were just the rests of the cars, and there were ash pillows, and it was the rest of burnt people. And it was a terrible aspect.
The rescue team pulled 11 bodies from the Gotthard Road tunnel.
The Gotthard Tunnel fire was really a wake-up call for tunnels all over the world. You know, you're putting vehicles through a tunnel, they're full of all kinds of combustible fuels. It was a terrifying event, and they've done a lot of work since to make the tunnels safer.
16 kilometers away, a safer and quicker route under the Alps is now nearing completion. The Gotthard Base Tunnel. It's the deepest railway tunnel in the world, dug in 2.5 kilometers beneath the mountain peaks. It's also the longest, 56 kilometers end to end. It's crucial that they learn the lessons from accidents like the Gotthard Tunnel fire at every step. Today, senior technician Stefan Arni is performing a test drive.
Im Moment warten wir auf eine Freigabe vom Kontrollcenter, dass wir dann die Testfahrt beginnen können.
This test drive comes after 14 years of drilling and blasting to create the base tunnel. 4 boring machines, nearly 500 meters long, have excavated over 25 million tons of rocks. That's enough to build the Great Pyramid 5 times over. But the drilling has come at a price. So far, this tunnel has claimed the lives of 8 men. On the rails, the pressure is on for Stefan Erling. This is just the latest crucial test for this €10 billion construction project.
Im Moment sind die Herausforderungen auf anderer Seite. Wir kommen da rein mit Zügen, fahren schnell im Tunnel umeinander. Und da sind natürlich auch die Anforderungen an die Leute, die unter Umständen in der anderen Tunnelröhren arbeiten.
For today's test, he is aiming for a maximum speed of 160 kilometers per hour. If he succeeds, it will be the fastest yet for this tunnel.
57, 8, 59, and 160. Yes.
They have reached their target. It's another step towards completion for the world's longest tunnel.
Okay, now we reached 160 without problem. So now we can enjoy a little bit before we start to decrease again.
When it opens in 2016, the Gotthard Base Tunnel will be able to carry 300 trains every day. It will cut the journey time between Zurich and Milan by an hour, taking passengers and freight right through the mountains. Coming up next, the mightiest storm defenses in the world.
Gareth Southgate's team of Lions are back, exclusively on Channel 4 and All 4 in the UEFA Nations League. Can they avenge the Euros heartbreak as they go head-to-head with Italy, battle historic rivals Germany, and face Hungary in one of the competition's toughest groups? Can England go all the way? The UEFA Nations League continues with Germany v England on Tuesday at 7 p.m, live and free on Channel 4 and All 4.
Are you ready for one final heist?
This was our chance to say goodbye.
Oh,
that stuff lasts a lifetime.
it's time to go out 9-9 style.
I didn't expect you to get this emotional.
Goodbye, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, followed by the final ever episodes Wednesday from 8 on E4 and All 4.
Hi, I'm Jack. This was me, a closeted mummy's boy with a newly dead dad and a crap perm. So getting into uni was a big deal. That's where I met Daddy.
Looks like a take me out contestant.
And this lot.
So what's your time, Jackie? Like what? Girl, I don't know the other one.
I'll say that sometimes.
Brand new series, Big Boys, Thursdays at 10 on Channel 4, or stream all episodes free on All 4.
Detective Sergeant Danny Schmitter. I'm making inquiries. A young woman is dead.
Very tired.
Christina's been murdered. What happened to her? Tell me, Christina.
James Nesbitt leads an all-star
I've
cast.
nothing to lose, so I keep digging until I find something.
Brand new drama. Suspect. Coming soon to Channel 4 and All 4.
So far, in our countdown of the world's most extreme tunnels, a Russian ring road, which doubles as an ice rink. A war-torn tunnel in need of a facelift. Tunnel network buried 2.5 kilometers under mountain peaks. And our number 2 is down a drain in Japan to see the world's mightiest tunnels. They stretch for miles around Japan's capital city. But these tunnels move water, not people. They're designed to combat freak typhoon floods. The mightiest tunnels on the planet are Tokyo's storm drains. Japan lies under threat of Pacific typhoons. When a storm makes landfall, 200 kilometers per hour wind and pounding rain batter the country.
The threat of typhoons in places like Japan is extreme. Sometimes you have 30 typhoons forming in the Northwest Pacific every year.
Tokyo is a sitting duck, but it has an ace up its sleeve. A network of tunnels that swallow the floodwater, store it up, and then pump it out slowly. It's a giant drainage system for the world's biggest city.
It's staggering to think of the volume of this thing. And it looks like something out of a science fiction movie.
This vast storage chamber is nicknamed the Underground Temple. Supported by 59 titanic pillars, it is over twice the size of St. Paul's Cathedral. Taku Fukugawa is the temple's high priest.
この首都圏外河統合水路という施設がなかったら、東京まで水が一気に流れ込んでいってしまいます。
Thankfully for Mr. Fukugawa, it's dry today. But he must be ready at all times.
今年度に入りましてから11回施設が稼働しております。例年7回ほどなんですけれども、今年は例外として数多く流入しておりました。
In times of flood, 5 of Tokyo's rivers are diverted into these water tanks. Each one could fit Nelson's column inside, with room to spare. From the tanks, the floodwater flows through this enormous passage, 6.5 kilometers long. Then it reaches the temple. A vast chamber designed to hold water and release it slowly. It can hold enough water to fill 140 Olympic swimming pools. When the temple empties, 78 pumps propel 180 tons of water into the mighty Edo River every second.
この施設がなかったら、ひとたび雨が降ると周りは浸水被害が多く出てしまいますので、この施設があることによってその浸水被害を軽減できる大変重要な施設になっております。
Thanks to this giant drain and its master, Mr. Fukugawa, Tokyo is safe. Now, for tunnel number 1, we're going in search of contraband on the Mexican border. Tokyo's typhoon tunnels may be mighty, but size doesn't always matter. Here, authorities regularly discover state-of-the-art smugglers' tunnels used to move illegal drugs over the border and into the USA. In this one, law enforcement seized 14 tons of cannabis with a street value of $150 million. Welcome to Mexico's infamous drug tunnels, the world's most criminal. February 2014, drug lord Joaquin Shorty Guzman is arrested in Mexico. The alleged kingpin of the infamous Sinaloa cartel, he is dubbed the Osama bin Laden of the drug world. It is claimed that he had a network of secret routes that helped him evade capture and move his drugs into the United States. Tunnels, built by a team of professional engineers and equipped with lights and ventilation. These tunnels were built for one thing only: to get drugs across the US border. "9 a.m., the US frontier outside San Diego. Border Patrol agent Lance Lenoir's job is to seek out and destroy smuggling tunnels. Today, he's on patrol at a tunnel built by the US authorities and still used by smugglers.
The tunnel that we're looking at right now actually starts in Mexico, and it's a storm drain. It's completely open from the Mexican side all the way to what we see right here.
This tunnel is 1.2 meters wide and 180 meters long. Next up, Tijuana.
Plenty of spiders in this one, I can already tell. Unfortunately, most of the time they're usually black widows.
Lance Lenoir has been doing this job for 15 years. He knows exactly what he's looking for.
Bingo. This is what we're looking for when we inspect these storm drains. This right here.
It looks like someone has tried to cut right through the wall of the tunnel to avoid the heavy steel gate at the end.
So what they'll do a standard square cut, break this up in there, and then they begin the process of actually removing the dirt, and they tunnel out vertically.
Today's storm drain inspection has been a success. Lance Lenoir has spotted the preparations for a smuggling attempt, and he can now close it down. But staying ahead of the drug smugglers is an enormous challenge, because they're not just hacking into existing tunnels, they're building their own. Shafts running for hundreds of meters, and avoiding miles of razor wire, thousands of border guards, and billions of dollars of security.
The guys who built these are pretty tough and pretty gutsy, and it shows you how valuable the drug trade is to these gangs, because they're willing to put themselves at great risk and great expense to get these tunnels built.
The drug trade in the US is worth over $200 billion per year. It's no wonder drug barons want to build these tunnels to get a piece of the action. So far, the authorities have sealed off nearly 150 of them. But it's an endless game of cat and mouse. As one tunnel closes, another opens. Highly illegal, but worth millions of dollars. These drug tunnels are the world's most extreme.
Whales have been on Earth for 50 million years. Now they're washing up on beaches all over Britain. I'm on a mission to find out what's going on. If we get to the bottom of it, we may reverse the fate of these beautiful creatures. What Killed the Whale, Sunday at 9 on Channel 4 and All 4.
Then there's the operatic section.
The operatic section.
I'm a but I was born to be a performer and give the people what they want. Touch the heavens.
Stars in the Oscar-winning Bohemian Rhapsody. Wednesday at 9 on Film 4 and All 4.
We have the reserves on staff. Jackie, you look nice.
Closer.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Awful. First, funny.
There's something you haven't found yet. Something hidden. It's dangerous. Find it before it activates. It could cause a war. Think outside the box.
Brand new drama, The Undeclared War, coming soon on Channel 4 and All 4.
The Met, the country's top police force, is in crisis. Its reputation in tatters after being judged institutionally corrupt.
When you have corruption, you know you have it and you don't deal with it. You will allow corruption to develop within your organisation.
Attempts to get to the truth have been resisted for decades.
Because you don't understand. If you start pulling at this string, you don't know where it will take you.
Tonight on Dispatches, evidence that the Met is still not faced up to the truth about police corruption.
The extent of what is revealed in those statements is deeply alarming.
Did top cops get too close to organised crime?
If that's true, that is outrageous. The relationship is too close, unacceptable, something that we as a police service should never be involved in.
The fear that corrupt cops allowed killers to walk free.
It's devastating, really, because it would have been nice to have some sort of closure on my dad's murder.
Police are dodgy. NHS and police are dodgy.
During the course of the interviews we've had, you implied on several occasions about a policeman that you believe to be corrupt. I know he's corrupt. Right? Now, what I want to tell with you is for him to tell me exactly what you witnessed, when roughly, and why you think this person is corrupt.
In 1987, a criminal informant was recorded making serious allegations that senior Met police officers were corrupt. The tape has never been broadcast before.
Is there any improper said to you, any suggestions made regarding it? So when you were arrested for that offence? Yeah. By Richard Forrest officers?
Yeah, I went in front, yeah, but they wanted money for bail, wasn't they?
He made many serious allegations, including that officers had taken money to keep criminals out of jail.
Lots of people in your position, when you're charged with serious offence, will make.
Well, what I'm telling you now, this is not a load of, this is on the head of my son.
Yeah, because you see, some people was there, it's easy for some.
Well, I'm not going to blame that, but I pleaded guilty to what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So what am I blaming?
Yeah.
I'm blaming nothing.
It's just a question that they are.
Yeah.
His claims sparked Operation Russell, the Met's most infamous corruption inquiry. One detective under suspicion killed himself. His suicide note said he'd been forced to inform on a CID police commander. Now, more than 30 years later, dispatchers can reveal just what the Met was trying to hide.
They were very concerned that there'd been an infiltration, into the police by an organised criminal network. It meant that the people that we'd taken an oath to catch actually knew we were going to do that before we did it, and that they would have been in front of us all the time and influencing what we did.
Many officers faced corruption allegations, but the inquiry focused on the long association between two men. One was Commander Ray Adams, the Met's head of criminal intelligence. The other was a notorious gangster whose name the Met has never admitted to. He is Kenneth Noy. He would go on to kill 2 innocent men and rise to the top of organized crime in Britain.
Noy was a career criminal. As far as I'm concerned, it's in his DNA, and he would never change. He's a violent individual.
What Operation Russell discovered was alarming. Commander Adams had once helped Noy avoid prison after he'd been investigated for bribing a police officer. Noy avoided a jail sentence after Ray Adams told the judge that Noy was a current active informant. The report concluded, it is possible with hindsight to say the court, particularly the judge, was misled.
If there was even a suggestion that a judge somewhere hadn't got all of the information that a judge requires to make an honourable decision, then that needs to be looked at. Potentially good. If you're deliberately done it, it has to be. If you deliberately mislead a judge for a dishonest reason, I don't know another word you could call it, really.
Noy was not, as Adams had claimed, an active registered informant. Nonetheless, Operation Russell wrote, there is no evidence that suggests these
Operation Russell.
police, and in particular,
Russell is my brother.
Ray Adams also got involved when Noy was arrested on firearms offences. Again, Noy wasn't jailed. His criminality continued.
When thieves broke into the Brinksmat warehouse at Heathrow Airport in 1983, they were looking for cash. Instead, they found £26 million worth of gold. They brought in the master fence, Kenny Noy, to turn the gold into cash and real estate.
Noy was put under surveillance, but the operation went tragically wrong.
2 detectives dressed in camouflage kit watched the Noy's home from a hideout in nearby woods owned by Anglican priests. At 6:15 in the evening, they were ordered to enter the grounds. 25 minutes later, one of the officers, Detective Constable Fordham, was found lying on the ground 8 yards from the gate, dying from 10 stab wounds.
Facing a life sentence for murdering a detective, Noy offered the senior investigating officer a £1 million bribe. He turned it down and reported it. Operation Russell said Noy then made much of his long association with Adams, telling detectives that Adams would say he was not a man of violence.
Well, using a senior police officer for such character evidence is totally out of order. The police have really got to look at themselves. If that's the state that we got into at that time and now, that is totally unacceptable.
Operation Russell was wound up in 1988 after concluding there was no evidence or insufficient evidence to substantiate any criminal charges. What Adams had done for Noy has been kept quiet by the Met ever since, even when Noy went on to kill again in 1996.
Stephen Cameron was stabbed at this roundabout on the M25 in what's been described as a road rage murder.
The high-profile investigation was led by Detective Superintendent Nick Biddis.
When I knew that it was Kenneth Noy who was the main suspect, I deliberately avoided, unless it was absolutely essential, involving any Metropolitan Police officers in any inquiries that we might have to do in the London area.
Noy was rumoured to be too close to some Met officers, but Nick Biddis didn't know Noy's police connections had once helped to keep him out of jail.
I had no idea about that report, or indeed the association that Noy may have had with officers in the Met.
What do you think they've seen that report?
It's outrageous, absolutely outrageous. If that's true, that is outrageous. The relationship is too close, unacceptable, something that we as a police service should never be involved in.
Allegations that police officers had colluded with criminals stayed in the background. Those fears were reignited by the racist murder of 18-year-old Stephen Lawrence.
Well Hall Road in Elton. The exact location Stephen Lawrence was, in the words of one witness, swallowed up by a gang of white youths, forced to the ground and stabbed.
His family feared the murder suspects had been protected by corrupt police officers. One was the son of the gangster Clifford Norris, a known associate of Kenneth Noy.
Such is the emotion of this case, these men were never going to be able to leave quietly. One of the 5 men, David Norris, tried to retaliate.
We say there were officers within the police who interfered with the investigation, slowed it down, didn't arrest, didn't do searches, most importantly, did not develop information that they had within 24 hours. Why is that? Well, we say because the officers were protecting certain members of the fraternities.
Any evidence that the police might have protected criminals had the potential to be very important. In 1998, the family were trying to get to the truth at the Macpherson inquiry. Ray Adams had been briefly involved in the murder investigation. He was cross-examined by Michael Mansfield. The Lawrence's barrister had been denied the chance to see the Russell report. This is the first time he's read it.
The core element of all this material demonstrates a form of collusion that we were arguing for. So when I was making submissions suggesting collusion, I didn't know there was a report capable of supporting that. What the report does show, without any question or dispute, that this very senior officer, Mr. Adams, had what was regarded as, in the report, as an improper relationship with a leading member of the fraternity who we would say would and could have had close connections with the criminal families at the core of the murder of Stephen Lawrence. I've never seen it before now. And personally, I think we, the lawyers representing the Lawrence family, including the Lawrence family themselves, should have been able to have access to this.
The Operation Russell report was discussed in a private hearing between the Met and Lord Macpherson's advisors. The inquiry ruled it was inadmissible.
First of all, I'd like to know, of the materials I've seen, how much of that material was seen by the relevant lawyers. Because sometimes you only get shown some sheets. How much of it was redacted? How much of it wasn't? Well, I don't know the answer to any of that.
The inquiry found there was no evidence that corruption had undermined the murder investigation. Ray Adams' representative told us that the corruption allegations against Adams had been investigated several times and that he had been exonerated on every occasion. The Macpherson inquiry had stopped a key report on police corruption being made public. DCI Clive Driscoll jailed 2 of Stephen Lawrence's killers. Almost 30 years on from their son's murder, the Lawrence family are still trying to get to the truth. In part 2, we reveal the secret files suggesting corrupt cops have kept killers out of jail.
It's devastating, really, you know, because it would have been nice to have some sort of closure on my dad's murder.
On a remote Vietnamese island, 2 teams go head-to-head to build a 1,000-foot bridge to a life-changing cash prize.
200 grand.
Can they work together?
He's just racking up on the base. We need a medic.
Or will their time run out?
There's no way those guys are going to get to the island.
Only one person can win.
I'm absolutely going to be manipulative.
It goes without saying, I hate losing.
I ain't going to win.
That's not bad. Oh my god. How did they like me? They shouldn't.
The Bridge, Race to a Fortune, starts Tuesday at 10 on Channel 4. Stream Series 1 free on all 4.
Sarah Beanie and Damien Burrows meet the people who start small and dare to dream big.
Have you done something like this before?
No. With a grand vision to supersize their home.
Where has the back of your house gone?
knew we were going to extend them to this scale.
Maximising a tight budget.
I'm not sure why you don't turn the house the other way up.
I think that sounds amazing. They transform their tiny place
Wow. I mean, look at that.
into a spacious modern masterpiece.
Oh, well, this delivered. That's lovely.
Bang, the whole space just opens up. Ion design, ion style. It's exactly how we want it.
Sarah Beanie's Little House Big Plans starts Thursday at 8 on Channel 4. All episodes available after on all 4.
Do we have returns on staff?
Jackie, you look nice.
Coaster.
And it is going to be a birthday because I'm not
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
All 4. First, funny. Get the reviews that matter. Celebrity Gogglebox. The new series starts Friday at 9 on Channel 4. Stream the previous series free on all 4.
The Met's corruption files uncovered by the Thatchers reveal serious concerns that corrupt officers were undermining a murder investigation. In September 1987, Sue Whitney's father vanished.
My dad was Kenneth Charles Whitney. He was a very chatty, friendly sort of person. As I was going out, I said to him, I'll see you, see you at the weekend. And then he said, all right, I'll see you then. And then he just disappeared the next day.
Kenneth's body was discovered 6 weeks later.
Was a detective sergeant at Heathrow. I was involved from the outset. He owned a Rover SD1. It had been reversed up against the crash barriers of the Terminal 3 car park. 2 people from the maintenance department were sent to deal with it. They found the car was locked. So one of them squeezed in between the crash barrier and managed to open the boot and was confronted straight away with the body.
My mum was watching the regional news and it came up that they'd found a Rover with the body in the boot. And she just said it clicked in her head, it must be Dad.
The detectives from Heathrow were sent to South London to investigate. The inquiry quickly established links to Joey Pyle, a local gangster who made his money from drug dealing and extortion.
You can compare him with the Crays or the Richardsons because he had he and his brother had their own gang. And they were feared. They were feared certainly throughout South London.
I believe he did know Joey Pyle because they was of the same age and, you know, obviously they'd crossed paths in the past and that.
There was a story going around that Whitney owed Pyle for drugs and that he hadn't paid. And this, we assumed, was the reason he died.
But Kenneth Whitney was also leading a double life as a police informant.
Every informant obviously takes a risk because if their colleagues find out, they're going to have no sympathy for that person.
Do you think he could have got him killed?
Yes, very possibly.
Secret files seen by dispatches reveal that as the investigation progressed, allegations emerged that Pyle had a direct line to local police, with a detective chief superintendent described as Pyle's right-hand man.
That DCS, what sort of information would that role give him access to?
He's entitled to know everything.
And could that be sensitive information?
It would be. There would be a lot of sensitive information there.
One local officer warned the Heathrow murder squad that they should have had very little input from the local CID because corruption was rife in that office. It was also reported that officers were afraid to speak out. These officers feared physical reprisals against themselves and families if any overt action is taken against the CID. Senior detectives on the Heathrow murder team sent the reports to the anti-corruption squad working on the Operation Russell inquiry. Neither the DCS or any of the officers accused of being corrupt were interviewed. The allegations were dismissed as just gossip, rumor, myth, and innuendo. Detective King and the team from Heathrow hunted Kenneth Whitney's killers for 6 months before the case was closed.
He was giving us an update, but obviously he was getting nowhere because nobody was going to say anything. Thank you.
Dispatches showed Kenneth Whitney's daughter the report into police corruption surrounding her father's case. It's the first time she's seen it.
It's devastating, really, you know, because it would have been nice to have some sort of closure on my dad's murder. It's quite frightening that, you know, that this is quite high up in the police, that, you know, that goes on. You see it in the movies, but you don't expect it in real life, do you?
Kenneth Whitney's murder remains unsolved. 6 months before Kenneth Whitney was killed, private investigator Daniel Morgan was murdered in South London.
3 policemen and 2 other people have been arrested by officers investigating the murder of a private detective in London. Mr. Morgan was attacked as he left a pub in Sydenham in southeast London. He was found axed to death in the pub car park.
Daniel Morgan's family have been pressuring the Met ever since to come clean about the involvement of corrupt cops in shielding Daniel's killers.
I mean, I had to fight for 25 years before they even the word corruption even came out of their mouths, you know. Every obstacle possible was put in the way of me and my family getting to the truth of how the murder had been handled.
Despite his long campaign, the Met has never told Alistair Morgan that its own officers had reported concerns about police corruption in the area.
God almighty, he's got half the police force down there, which seems here from here.
Alistair, what's your first thoughts on seeing that?
Horror at the extent of the alleged corruption going on down in South London there at that time. Looking at the proximity in time and space of this murder and my brother's murder, I think the whole thing is deeply, deeply worrying. There could very well be close parallels. There could very well be some of the same people involved.
Joy Pyle was jailed on drug offences. A secret Met report seen by dispatches said, "It is clear that Pyle has or had persons within the Metropolitan Police Service looking after his interests." Police intelligence also suggested that the DCS, once accused of protecting Pyle, had left the Met and had been recruited to help trace the informant who tipped off police.
If true, that would be a former police officer that's actively helping criminals identify someone who they probably wish to assault at the very least. So you're talking about potentially putting someone's, certainly their well-being, but it could be their life in danger. So yeah, it's very, very serious.
By 2012, the Met's failure to tackle allegations of corruption in its own ranks was alarming the Home Secretary, Theresa May. She was pressing for fresh inquiries into the handling of the Stephen Lawrence and Daniel Morgan murder inquiries. But in Whitehall, there was still a reluctance to re-examine Daniel's case.
A relevant senior civil servant, whose job it was to work with the police, said, well, we can't really have an inquiry into this murder because it will become so expansive, it will be very difficult to control. And I said, well, I think it's really important that we do. We can make it a panel inquiry, it can be limited. And he said, no, you don't understand. If you start pulling at this string, you don't know where it will take you. So bad was the problem of police corruption in London in this period.
An independent panel concluded that the Met had betrayed the family of Daniel Morgan.
We believe that concealing or denying failings for the sake of an organisation's public image is dishonesty on the part of the organisation for reputational benefit. This constitutes a form of institutional corruption.
The government had insisted the Met should cooperate fully with the independent panel. Instead, there were long delays in handing over key files from the murder investigation.
There's a narrow dividing line between protecting public interest, protecting information which requires to be protected, and an organisation like the Met making itself accountable. And I think they were on the wrong side of that line a lot of time.
The Met told us that over the past few decades, it has made significant advances in how it investigates crime and in the methods in place to tackle corruption by officers. The Met says a report this year by Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary found that it is not institutionally corrupt and is capable of tackling the most serious corruption. The Russell report continues to cast a long shadow. The Lawrence family are still seeking answers about the murder of their son. The killings of Daniel Morgan and Kenneth Whitney remain unsolved.
Not one single officer has been disciplined. Nobody has been called to account for anything.
You know, I'm quite appalled by it, really. You know, police are the backbone of law and order, aren't they? Well, they should be.
Failure to acknowledge and be open and say, yes, it happened. We got it wrong. A failure to look for criminal behaviour in police officers to the extent that it needs to be looked at. It has to change.
Gareth Southgate's team of Lions are back, exclusively on Channel 4 and All 4 in the UEFA Nations League. Can they avenge the Euros heartbreak as they go head-to-head with Italy, battle historic rivals Germany, and face Hungary in one of the competition's toughest groups? Can England go all the way? The UEFA Nations League continues with Germany v England on Tuesday at 7 p.m, live and free on Channel 4 and All 4.
Any hungry things on staff?
Hello, Jackie. You look nice.
Dakota. Welcome to your first antenatal class. I'm your tutor, Antonio Van Turner.
He's a wild card, but I'm glad he's in our deck.
Can you leave one of me pregnant? I'm not for
Stop it! Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Welcome to my world.
All 4. Thirds for funny.
Hi, I'm Jack. This was me in 2013, a closeted mummy's boy with a newly dead dad and a crap hair. So when I got into uni, it was a big deal.
Welcome to the best 3 years of your life, and that's just your mum.
And that's where I met Daddy.
You just have to take me out contestant. A little bit of Barbie mix. And I keep my night on for him.
And this lot.
So what's your type, Jackie? Like what? Girls. I don't really have one. I say that sometimes. I'm still tampons. What, you never know my cop round? There's a dragon structure.
Here's Cadre, who were born to be. Well, that's what I'm talking.
Brand new series, Big Boys, Thursdays at 10 on Channel 4, or 3 more episodes free on all 4.
For the joy of home. Homes on 4, sponsored by John Lewis.
We all of us want our homes to be spacious, don't we? But we don't want to live in an airport terminal. Equally, we like our homes to be well detailed and put together, but we don't insist on all our slot-headed screws lining up in a hinge. There is, however, one man who does obsess about both these things, for whom no house can be too big or too perfect, whose own building project will lead him one of 2 ways, either down the road towards chaotic frustration and financial ruin, or towards the crystalline, exquisite, perfect gem of a house. Which will it be?
"50-year-old Clinton Dall is a family man. He's an art lover and car enthusiast.
Quite busy life, really. I'm quite a busy person. I've got 4 children that are with me 2 to 3 days each and every week.
He also freely admits he likes everything to be just right.
I'm a neat and tidy person, and the kids, they've grown up with me. They are good. They do clean up.
He likes everything to be like perfect. He doesn't really have anywhere to put anything, so when we come over, we can't really bring anything with us.
Running his own successful cleaning business has allowed Clinton to indulge his passion for modern architecture. He likes sparse, minimal, clutter-free interiors. He demands perfection, which apparently he didn't quite achieve when building his current house.
There were lots of compromises there. Lots of things changed along the way. It's a really nice house, a really nice modern house. It's really good, but it's just not. It's not perfect.
He's now decided to sell this house to build a better one. But if this isn't good enough, just what is?
How long have you owned this place?
Nearly 2 years now.
You built it?
Yeah, 2 years.
That's not long to be somewhere before you then decide to do it all over again.
I think it was a good go at a first project, really.
I mean, what are the things that are not pure about this building?
Well, the main thing that I probably have a problem with, I think it's a little bit squat. Now, I wanted it longer, but because of the street view, the planners didn't actually want it any wider on the plot.
There's a garage here which looks, I mean, this could be a art gallery, frankly. There's one black box, and most people have got piles of crap everywhere.
I am very neat and tidy.
Do you have a junk room with rubbish in it?
Not really.
No. Do you organise your shirts on the hanging rail according to colours? Yes.
It's very neat and tidy.
Yeah. I do.
This is like, if you haven't painted with oils before, this is like the first one where you sort of have a go at it and it's okay, and you finish it, and it looks nice, it looks nice. But the second one, you knew what you were doing wrong. you weren't mixing the colours right. And I think it's a little bit like that,
But
really.
it takes thousands of hours and probably hundreds of paintings to arrive at what you might consider your masterpiece. So how many houses do you think you chew through? Making,
I think the next one is the one.
you think it's the one?
I really do.
The canvas Clinton has chosen upon which to create his masterpiece is hidden in woodland in the heart of West Sussex. The 5-acre plot cost him a whopping £850,000.
This is a completely secluded little clearing, isn't it, here in the woods?
And that's part of the reason I bought it, really, because the planning, I could pretty much do what I want.
It really does open up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what are you going to build?
Well, low level, white tiled, all going to be very natural around, and the house is not going to be natural at all.
Yes.
When you come in the entrance door, it's all glass, and you'll be able to see right through to the garden.
Okay. How long is it?
60 metres.
Good God. You're going to keep fit here, aren't you? I mean, you'll keep the kids fit, running up and down.
I'm not sure if to get a skateboard. I was never good at that as a kid. Maybe I should.
No, get a scooter.
In Clinton's head, this building is an idealised, abstract and perfect thing. From this building site in the woods, he will see it assembled from a rigorously limited palette of materials: steel, porcelain, granite and glass. It begins with a 60-metre slab of concrete, onto which the steel frame will sit. There's enough space here to fit 7 average-sized homes. A grid of enormous grey porcelain tiles that run throughout the interior will rigorously control the layout. The rhythmic steel frame will support a wall of glass to the south. The north side gets a padding of dazzling white porcelain tiles. They'll be each 1.5 metres square. They part to reveal a glass-clad entrance. The layout is thoughtful and ordered and indulgent. A double garage leads to a cluster of rooms: utility, spare bedroom, gym, and games room. From this nest of spaces, you'll be launched into the main act of the house, a colossal living area that mixes dining, cooking, and relaxing with pieces from Clinton's art collection. Beyond this, in the west wing, an opulent spa and sauna, and the 4 main bedrooms and bathrooms will be neatly ordered in a row to overlook a 15-metre outdoor pool. Everything will be built from steel and concrete, other than the timber-framed white roof that will oversail the building for shade. To produce this design for such an exacting, obsessive client will take a lot of pain and cost a lot, because it is vast.
It's unlike a house, isn't it? In as much as I think the scale of this, the length of it, the sleekness of it is going to resemble more.
I put 3 items in your bag, and then the staff retrieved it from your bag, and then the staff retrieved it from your bag. I have seen a CCTV that's been sent to me. I've just witnessed you place tin foil over a pair of shoes in Oliver Bonus on Tottenham Court Road. Not heroin. That's why I've got foil.
Why would you put it over a pair of shoes, mate? It's a bit odd. It's not just whether you have or you haven't. We're saying you have, because we've seen it. I'm just asking you why. You're saying you never. Oh, fair enough. Are you known to the police at all? When was the last time you was in trouble? Right, what was you known for about a month ago? Shoplifting.
Because Ed and Steve's rolls are funded by the West End stores, they've been granted the right to ban shoplifters if they're caught in the act.
If you're seen inside a Holland & Barrett store, you've got a potential to be detained for trespassing, and then if you steal from a Holland & Barrett, that could escalate to burglary, which has the possibility of carrying a prison sentence.
The detectives hope it will act as a deterrent, not just for this chain of shops, but from shoplifting anywhere.
You're not on a suspended sentence or anything, no? Right.
But from experience, they know that when there is a drug habit to feed, it's an uphill battle to get them to stop.
So with him, it's all about intelligence. We've got his name, we've got his details. We will keep them on file in case he does come back and commit further offences.
All right.
Take care, mate, all right?
There's a tactical battle going on in shopping centres up and down the country.
He's outside stair 4 door, Luke.
Shoplifters finding new ways to avoid detection. and security teams changing their methods to catch them.
Just sign there for me.
In Coventry, West Orchard Shopping Centre now issues a banning order no matter how big or small the theft.
This is your banning order. It's 12 months. That is the date next year that you're allowed back in the shopping centre. So, go somewhere else.
They have a vast intelligence network spanning the city centre. So when someone is banned,
It's just that normally, alright, just face the camera.
a file is created that can be shared and referred back to.
If you stole something from here, we are going to ban you for the year. That's our process. Shoplifting may be your job, and I've heard them refer to it as that. We come to work, and our job is to stop you. You know, it's not personal.
And while most stay away, some just keep coming back.
We've got quite a catalogue of repeat offenders that keep coming in, even though they've been banned multiple times. It just goes in one ear and out the other. So they will come up with the excuses, and they don't want to take responsibility for what they've done.
Lewis is on patrol when a known face is spotted.
So we've just been alerted to a female who's previously been banned for theft. So we've just arrived down.
Corey is an in-store security guard and he's dealt with her before.
Just going to get it now. Pretty sure it was like September. 6 September. Is she the one with the picture? Yeah, she used the kid last time as well. On the picture. Yeah.
Now they've confirmed the suspect is still banned, Lewis can enforce it.
Hello. You just like to leave the centre for us, you're banned. You're banned. I am banned. No, you're banned from the centre for shoplifting. No. Don't tell me where you're banned from. Unfortunately, not in here, unfortunately, not welcome to shoplift. Did you shoplift?
When someone's caught, they're banned from the shop they stole from and the whole of West Orchards. But instead of turning left to leave, the woman turns right into the centre, claiming her car is in the centre car park.
She's been warned previously, multiple times actually in the past, and so she is fully aware. She tried to play the innocent card. She tried to claim that we didn't make her aware of her being banned.
I don't do nothing. Yeah.
You were shot with
I have lived in court. Yes, we have.
people in the steps that don't want to hear all your stories.
You do get frustrated when people that we stop don't take responsibility for their actions.
I don't know action. Yes, why you
So you get banned. Okay, I'm not going to speak to you if you're not going to talk. You asked me what you've done, I'm going to try to explain.
She may protest her innocence, but Corey's record of the previous theft suggests she has a tried and tested method.
Yeah. She made out she didn't spot it. Typical routine. It's like the kid's trained in some sort of way because he's actually just grabbing all the fragrances, shoving on the back of him, and he sits right back. And when she seen her glance down, she knew that he had the stuff on him. And then she walked straight out of the store, didn't make no attempt to start. You feel bad for the kid, but it makes you kind of feel slightly annoyed as well that they're using the young and innocent to do their dirty deeds in life.
So children is sort of one of the worst ones that we don't like hearing because sort of a defenceless child who can't sort of speak for themselves, blaming it on them. Yes, it's a bad thing to do. Really.
Lewis keeps watch in the hope that the lady leaves. Coming up,
They don't even know I'm here.
a former shoplifter tells a store manager what they're doing wrong.
They didn't get greeted. The eye contact there will let them know you have seen them, you know they're in the store.
How dare you!
And the violent suspect just won't calm down.
No.
The guys will be aggressive. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, you know. This job is not easy.
I got a text through.
You have to transfer £20,000 to Temple Police Rangers.
Felt sick, 8,100.
My account is showing as zero.
Make sure this isn't you. Join Alexis Conran for the latest tips and tricks. Phone scams. Don't get caught out. Thursday at 8 on Channel 5 and My5.
We all have a tear in our eye when we see the Spitfire overhead.
The planes that Britain built helped build our nation.
It was incredible for Britain to produce the first vertical takeoff and landing aircraft.
We'll be revealing how British-built planes revolutionised aerial combat. What did the Lancaster do for us? It led Europe to freedom. British planes that won the war with Rob Bell. Starts Friday at 9 on Channel 5 and My5.
In London's West End,
2-4, go ahead.
Undercover Detective Steve has just had a call about a man violently smashing a window in Piccadilly. He immediately heads towards the scene of the crime.
Yeah, I want to see now either. Where's he gone and who was it?
Calls about violence against property or shop workers have become all too frequent for Steve and his team.
Please, come on. Why are you resisting?
An overstretched police force can mean more danger for those working in retail.
One of the consequences of the huge reductions in financing our police forces is that they've had to change strategy. And so whereas once police forces might have been proactive, such as neighbourhood policing, where they're very visible, they're out on the streets, they're talking to shop workers, and they're able to tackle issues as they arise and prevent them from escalating, we now see a very reactive police force where they simply are called to incidents as they occur.
And that's where the team at TMI are filling the gap. But it's not always easy.
Why do this, man? I don't know what you've got. Calm yourself down. Just relax. Relax yourself. You've been placed in cuffs for your safety and my safety, okay? I don't know what you've got on you.
We do get quite a few people that are under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So yeah, we'd never go into any job expecting to know how it's going to go. Have you been arrested before? Okay, what was that for?
The undercover detectives must remain constantly alert.
I think it's less about thinking about our own safety and we're more thinking about each other's safety. Mate, you ain't going through yet. You know that your colleague's got your back type thing, and they're also watching the suspect in case of anything. I'll go through.
But it's not just the security teams under attack on the streets. Antisocial and violent behaviour towards shop workers has reached nearly 500 incidents a day.
The fact that it takes place in a retail environment can sometimes hide the severity of that incident, and it's quite often viewed as a crime against a business, and therefore the business can respond to that issue. But this is very much an assault against that individual, and the consequences can be absolutely devastating.
Today in Piccadilly, these shop workers are okay, and it turns out that the shop front is intact. But reports of a smashed window were correct.
Yeah, units, stand by for a description, over. So he's a white guy. Yeah, the description I've got is an IC1 male wearing a red t-shirt, potentially a yellow vest.
Steve shares the man's description with his uniform team and sets off on his trail. But then a call comes in that no one wants. A man fitting that description has assaulted one of Steve's colleagues.
Yeah, so Justin, so you can wait there. I'm making way to you, mate. I'll be there in 2 minutes, over.
UK retailers are reporting close to 1,000 shoplifting incidents every single day. Clothes, cosmetics, meat, baby items, alcohol, tech. Most are everyday items that are stolen to sell on.
Disgraceful.
But the intelligence network to try and prevent these thefts is constantly expanding and includes a former shoplifter who has now switched sides. Farah has set up her own business called Catch a Thief.
So the first thing I'd do is I would think like a shoplifter.
She knows that if stores can think like a shoplifter, then they can stop and catch a shoplifter.
I've come to the store today to do a risk assessment. We're going to see how vulnerable the store is for shoplifters and what retailers can do to protect themselves.
Farah knows that any thief entering the store is immediately going to make 3 key assessments.
The first thing I'd do as a shoplifter is I'd look around, is there any staff members around? Have they greeted me? If they've not greeted me, then I'm going out in the corner and I'll look for blind spots. The shelves are nice and high, so they can't see me through the shelves. They don't even know I'm here. I'll see what sort of items are available to grab.
The UK has a reported 5 million CCTV cameras in use, the 3rd highest figure in the world. But despite advances in technology, they still can't see round corners.
So if I come to this corner, I can see this is a blind spot. So this CCTV here is facing upwards. That CCTV over there, if I stand right here, because of this rail here, and that CCTV can no longer see me in this corner, a shoplifter would use this blind spot in their advantage. So they'll go get the meat, they'll get the cheese or the washing powder, alcohol, whatever they're stealing, and they'll move to the blind spot to conceal it.
It's not just camera angles that thieves are trying to spot.
Most of the aisles are really dark in here. Shoplifters love dark environments. It'll give the shoplifter confidence to be able to steal from here.
But there was one aisle in particular that Farah was most concerned by.
In the alcohol aisle, there is a clear camera here, and there's also a camera here facing downwards. But again, the rails are really a problem with the CCTV in here. So this is also a very vulnerable blind spot. Alcohol is easy to sell, it's easy to get rid of, and they will target that. So the alcohol aisle is so important to keep a watch on.
And it didn't get any better when she looked at the camera feed.
It's actually worse than I thought. So this is the only camera covering the alcohol aisle. So all this side of the aisle is down, and that's a complete blind spot. We don't want vulnerable spots. We want the shoplifter to know that they are being seen on CCTV. So we need to get that area covered.
Farah has a lot to tell the manager.
Can we have a little chat about the findings that we got? So the first thing I noticed when walking in is I didn't get greeted. The eye contact there will let them know you have seen them, you know they're in the store. The second thing is the low lighting. It's like a warm light. It's really dark and gloomy in here. It's not bright and open, and that would stop shoplifting a lot because they know that if people can see down the aisle. And lastly, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's also a camera down in, as I said,
Channel
yeah,
4.
that's the one. And
Criminal
we need to
activity.
get that working as well.
Cannabis.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no,
Really?
thank you. And I'm glad
I can
that I was
believe
able
it.
to help you today.
The Russell
I'm really glad to come
operation.
into the store today. I was able to point out some really
Social
vulnerable
tax
things
on Brother
in the
Russell.
store. And if we put that into practice, then it will have an impact on the shoplifting
Yeah.
and it will reduce and prevent the crime.
In the fight against crime, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
In Coventry, the security team at West Orchards are dealing with a female shoplifter they've already banned from the centre.
Yeah. Hello. You guys still leave the centre for your back? Your back? I am back. No, you're back from the centre. The shoplifter. No. Don't tell me where you're back from.
We all have preconceived ideas of what offenders or criminals look like, and typically a mum and young children or a family don't really register as criminals or dangerous individuals, and so some people will play upon these stereotypes about who law-abiding and non-law-abiding people are, and they'll use this to their advantage in order to evade the scrutiny of security officers. And so having young children with you does give the image of a certain amount of innocence.
But guards Lewis and Corey have seen it all before, so they are escorting this shoplifter off the premises. They've accompanied her to the car park, but with her car now seemingly nowhere to be seen, Lewis's patience is running out.
She even got a car up here. Where is she parked? Where? I feel like she's taking a mick at the minute, she's just walking around.
When they lie to us and they're blatantly lying to us, it does wear us thin a bit and annoy us.
Where's your car? Where's your car? Where's your car? Okay, well, are you going there? Are you parked in here or not? Stop. Where are you parked? Stop. Where are you parked? Where are you parked? I do something. Why are you parked in here? Why are you parked in here? I was there to pay. Why are you parked here? I need something from you. Why am I do something? Yes, you've been shopping. Can you leave me? Yeah? Okay. Why do you the car have to
I'm giving us to run around a little bit, but I'm just trying to lead it down.
That sort of attitude that we just got off the female bed is sort of what we deal with all the time. Abuse towards us, not listening to us. When they're sort of asking you why they're banned and why they're being escorted out, you try and explain to them that their reply is just shouting over you and stuff, so you just can't explain. So it sort of gets you nowhere, and you just have to stay quiet and escort them out.
It's not the first time this woman has tried to come back during her ban, but perhaps now she'll think twice before trespassing again. Back in London's West End, Steve is on his way to a report that the man who smashed a phone box has assaulted one of his uniformed colleagues. A nearby team of British Transport Police have now got involved. He seems to have no intention of coming quietly.
No, why you hurt me? Yes, okay.
A cocktail of drink and drugs has made the man highly aggressive.
How dare you! How dare you!
Gonna have to go back down and put the leg. Put that leg in.
While the struggle to restrain the man continues,
He's gonna have to go back down.
Steve informs the police about the previous attack in the nearby bakery.
I'm trying to these guys because we had a call from shop up there saying that someone has just got smashed a window in front of their store. Yeah. Where's the shop? It's a Japanese sweet store. I'm just halfway up on the right hand side. On the right hand side, yeah.
But smashing a phone box window looks like being the least of the man's problems. If he did attack a my local bobby, then it's a much more serious offence.
Yes, all because of what happened up there.
I see the big thing.
Yeah.
I ran to the officers. I said, guys, can we hear us a call? Yeah. So when I come back, the guy attacked the one. So I come from behind.
Yeah. Norbert and Omar got a phone call from one of the shops on Piccadilly saying that their window was being smashed in by a guy who was crazy, apparently. Guys then decided to try and attack Omar, so they've had to put him on the floor and BTP have arrested him. They've had to put leg restraints, handcuffs, a split hood, everything on him.
One of the straps has come off. Gentlemen, one of the straps of the bomb's come off.
The man is finally in the back of a police van, but not before he's managed to inflict some further damage.
You got a lot of blood on you, yeah? You got blood on you as well.
The suspect now faces the possibility of criminal damage and assault charges.
The problem is, you say the guy is drinking. Sometimes when drink, he takes some substance.
What started off as a relatively minor incident of a broken phone box window has now escalated into something much more serious.
No, good job. You've done a really good job, brother.
I tried to speak to him nicely. What is going on? The guy is a bit aggressive. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, you know. This job is not easy.
Coming up, the end of Steve's shift doesn't get any easier.
Get your hands out. I mean, you're under arrest, all right? Suspicion shoplifting.
But chasing shoplifters all day is worth it in the end.
Trying to catch as many people as we can, because that's why we do come to work.
Join this cheery lot
Never a dull moment.
for some inspiration
Try my brand new flavour slush. It's free.
and a cheap British summer getaway.
We can always have a little deal on the price.
Bargain loving Brits by the Sea. Starts Sunday at 8 on Channel 5 and My 5.
It's nearing the end of a typically busy shift for undercover detective Steve.
I need to grab your body cameras off you at some point. To be a successful day, it's always good when we get quite a few offenders. I think the most we've had was 5 arrests in one day. Stick your hands up and see them, right? And they were all for sort of significant amounts. Trying to catch as many people as we can, because that's why we do come to work. If we've got a criminal off the street and we've caught a shoplifter or a pickpocket in the act, it's always very satisfying.
And it's a job that keeps him fit.
He tends to do at least 40,000 steps. I think 45,000 was the most I did the other week. But yeah, there's a fair amount of walking because we've got a lot of ground that we cover.
But before Steve can put his feet up, he takes a final sweep around one of the liveliest streets on his patch.
Prosecuted that guy before for shoplifting on Tottenham Court Road. Tottenham Court Road is an extremely busy street. It meets with Oxford Street, so it's a bit of a hotspot for crime, really. Places like Boots, Specsavers, Sainsbury's, they get hit sort of every day.
And it looks like being a smart decision.
Yeah, I see.
Steve has just received a report of a theft in progress. The chase is on.
Get your hands out. Get your hands out. I mean, you're under arrest, all right? Suspicion shoplifting. Down some kind of man fence. Don't mention one question. Get your hand out of your pockets. Someone should like running court and you can do something. I'm giving evidence, right?
Okay.
So what's going on, mate?
One of my colleagues said that he slipped the frame. I think there should be one in his pocket somewhere.
Right, mate, have you got anything on you shouldn't have? We were on a sort of proactive patrol, just keeping an eye on what's going on in the area, see if we spot anything. And we saw these member of staff from an optician's on Tottenham Court Road going after a male. Whereabouts is it? Yeah, where's the frame? Where is it on your person? In there, okay. Our colleague's going to get it out of your pocket, all right?
The shoplifter has been caught red-handed.
Have you got anything else on you shouldn't have, mate?
While the team search the man for other stolen goods, Steve starts the paperwork.
Are you known to police? All right, I'll take some details if you're all right. My colleague's just going to have a look inside your bag. Is that all right, then? All right. Have you got anything else in there you shouldn't have, no? All right. That's what I'm asking you before he finds out. Okay.
As the uniformed officer searches the bag, Steve wants to know why this man is known to the police.
When was you last in trouble with police, mate? How long ago? 6 months. What was that for? Do you know? Was it like shoplifting or something like this? Fight, an assault or something, yeah? Right.
That's my clothes.
Where are they from, mate?
That's my clothes. You give it me.
Yeah.
Well, that's not shoplifting stuff.
No, obviously, we've just got to check.
Last year, Westminster topped the table of homeless cases across the London boroughs. And some of them have turned to shoplifting to survive.
The root causes of shop theft are multiple and varied. We know that drug affected individuals probably form one of the largest groups of shoplifters, but we also know that there's other underlying factors that might cause somebody to steal, whether that's poverty, so they're stealing through survival to put food on the table.
Where are you going to sell them?
I'm gonna go around and see if I can do this.
As with any type of crime, the way to solve it is by tackling the root causes.
What's your first name, mate?
But Steve still needs to verify the man's details.
Can you get a photo of him before I do?
And log his picture in case he's caught again. He then checked with the representative from the store that they're happy for him to issue a banning order. From now on, this man is someone who shouldn't be going to Specsavers.
So are you happy you've got everything back from your store?
I've got a frame back.
Yeah?
Fine.
So you don't think he's got anything else on him?
No.
Okay. We've got his details. We'll share them with you if you want to
Yeah.
ban him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If he comes back again, obviously give these guys a call and we'll look at prosecuting him for it. All right? The store have recovered their items. There's different ways we'll look at sometimes dealing with the situation. Being able to pay for the items is one of the options we'll use, but he is homeless and doesn't have any money on him, so that option's out the window. I'll tell you about Vancover, mate. All right? He's given us all of his details, which do check out, so there's no sort of question as to who he is. If it turns out that he's got sort of prior shoplifting offences and stuff like that, or that perhaps he's banned from that store previously, then yeah, see whether it's in the public interest to prosecute him. As long as you don't go back to the store, it goes no further. If you go back to the store, we've got your details, we'll have a photograph of you and you'll be prosecuted for the offence. All right, free to go now. All right, thank you. Take care.
At last, it's time for Steve to clock off.
You just never know what's going to happen each day. It's always a good day. If we've caught a few people, potentially got one of ours that are wanted, it's sort of very satisfying.
There are no ordinary days in the war against shoplifters, but for Steve and the team, days like today keep the battle alive.
April 2010, every plane is grounded. Thousands are stranded as the black cloud advances.
This is as close as we dare go.
Second by second, we uncover the events that turned our skies black.
We aren't vulnerable. Of course it can happen again.
Ash Cloud, the week the world stopped. Wednesday at 9 on Channel 5 and My5.
I got a text through.
You have just transferred £20,000 to you to complete arrangements.
That's it, 8,100.
My account showing as zero.
Make sure this isn't you. Join Alexis Conran for the latest tips and tricks. Phone scans. Don't get caught out. Thursday at 8 on Channel 5 and My5.
Late night laughs now. Now that's funny, but just to warn you, it contains dangerous stunts. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jim and Angie had planned for months to become the first couple to circle the globe on a jet ski. And finally, launch day had arrived. Hey, only 21,699.5 nautical miles to go. They are the moments in life that make us laugh until it hurts. They take us beyond the heights of hilarity to the outer reaches of the silly sphere. The moment where, despite your best efforts, it's better to just throw your hands up and have a laugh. This is Now that's funny. Sometimes it means to hold on tight. Other times it means to control your emotions. Whatever the definition, it definitely pays to get a grip.
So my neighbor Caitlin asked me to get her a big glass of water because her water heater's broken, so I got her a big glass.
So that's how Kaylee got the nickname Butterfingers. Mastering the zip line is really simple. Just hold on tight and just hold on tight. That's it, really.
You alright, Kirsty?
Getting a grip isn't always as easy as it seems.
Push, pull at the same time. 1, 2, 3, go. Push and pull.
Sometimes it takes a friend to help you reach your goal. And sometimes it takes several friends. Every fisherman has a tall tale about the one that got away. This is actually true. When trying to get a firm grip, water is a natural enemy.
Whenever you're ready. One more time. Third time's the charm, baby.
Sometimes it's just as important to know when to let go. Believe it or not, Martha does have a good grip here. A good grip on that cricket in her hands.
You know they're quiet.
Of course, there are times in life when you probably don't want to get a grip. He belongs to the mountain now. There are a number of ways to get a grip. But when reaching for that brass ring, or something lower, don't feel bad if you slip up. Just hold on for the next time. According to the law of the land, if you're arrested on suspicion of a crime, you have the right to free legal advice. And we'd advise you to keep your mouth shut.
Okay, which one of you made the mess with this paper? Who did this? Who tore up the Kleenex?
Aha! I think we found our suspect.
Darling, did you do that? Did you do this right here? Who tore that Kleenex up? Casey, did you tear the Kleenex up? Hey, Casey. Casey, did you do that? I think you did. Come here, Casey. Come here. Did you mess that up?
Hope he's got a good barrister. It's going to be hard to get out of this one. You plan for months and months to have the perfect wedding. The one thing you never plan for, wedding crashes. Craig's been pumping iron in preparation for this memorable entrance. Too bad he didn't remember to tie his shoes. Now that she's married, Lydia's girlfriends were going to miss all the crazy times they shared. But they did have this one last moment to get silly. Sometimes you have to let go of the past. Let's face it, the best part of any wedding is the reception. The ceremony itself can be so boring. Steady, you've got this. No, you don't. Remember, it's important for the wedding party to make sure they don't upstage the bride and groom. Their entrance should probably be more memorable than yours. Giuseppe had only one move, and he did it at every wedding. He does it well, though. It's hard to escape the time-honored tradition of the wedding cake smash. Well, at least they found a way to make it fresh again. Josh came up with a great idea for a unique picture with his groomsmen. Well, it was unique. So what if there's a little rain on your wedding day? It doesn't have to mean bad luck. It could just be an omen. That things can only get better from here. Coming up, a smashing good time. How to rope a dope. Knowing when to let go. Plus, find out who will be our stars of the week. All this and more when Now That's Funny returns.
Join this cheery model
Never a dull moment.
for some inspiration
Try my brand new flavour slush. It's free.
and a cheap British summer getaway.
We can always have a little deal on the price.
Bargain loving Brits by the Sea. Starts Sunday at 8 on Channel 5 and My 5.
Don't hold it in. We're back with more laughs. You may think you've seen it all before, but this is definitely the oddest thing you'll see today. At least we hope so. And if that's not the oddest thing you've seen all day, Where exactly do you live? There's an old saying, you should always prepare for a rainy day. But some things in life you just can't plan for. With his roommates finally out of the house, Aidan thought he would be able to practice his sweet dance moves uninterrupted.
Wow.
Tired of life's constant stormy weather, Billy chose to turn his back on it all. It's time to face reality, Billy. Mr. Gorman had a unique way of keeping his employees on their toes by never letting them know when he was going to drop in. Quick, someone grab the executive stepladder. Whale watching is one of those activities that sounds a lot more fun than it actually is.
I bet they follow the whales, right?
99% of the time, you're just sitting around looking at calm water. Of course, there's always that 1%.
Oh my god!
Brienne doesn't know it, but Tom is about to propose.
Mom, here, Mom.
Just as soon as he gets out of the picture.
Oh, hey.
Hey, let's come over here.
No. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Looks like Mum's taking it kind of hard. Has anyone seen Alex's keys? He thinks he left them under one of these pots. Bit of a shocker, that. Most mornings, the daily commute can be so monotonous, but once in a blue moon.
Odds what bench.
I wonder what the MOT on that is. Even on the sunniest of days, you never know when life might just come along and trip you up.
Ya. Feliz. Hojitas. Bonitas.
Ricky is poised and ready for the ball. His little brother Johnny, however, was not. Sounds like we're having a bit of engine trouble. Let's check and see what's going on beneath the bonnet then. No, nothing unusual here. So what if you can't predict the future? Sometimes not knowing can be just as fun. Of all the world records that have been set since the beginning of time, none have kicked as much ass as the one you're about to see.
God bench. Yeah.
kicks butt. For his next record, longest time not being able to sit down. It's true, nobody's perfect, and occasionally we all have to pay for our mistakes.
Hello, this is called the Frisbee Man.
This is Ben's first time home alone. Finally, there's no one to tell him no frisbee in the house. This was also Ben's last time home alone. Oh look, it's Ben's kid brother. Sure is a lot of glass in that house. Hey, did you hear? There's a big sale down at Akazi's Gizmo Emporium today, where you can test fly the new Ninja 3 aerial drone. Just be warned, you break it, you buy it. No doubt about it, it costs a pretty penny to have an in-ground trampoline installed. In fact, it costs almost as much as having one repaired. Sure, they may be cheaper than regular bulbs, but some scientists think fluorescent light may actually be bad for your health. They might be onto something. Johnny was so excited the day he got his new Super Elite air gun.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
The excitement didn't last long.
It was loaded and I showed up my computer screen! Yes! Oh my god.
Happy New Year! Make that happy and suddenly much more expensive New Year! After months of constant badgering, Father Riley finally let Ralph show his spirit with an interpretive dance. The collection plate will be coming around twice this week. After working all summer long, Ralph saved up enough to buy the two things he wanted: a fancy new mountain bike and a new telly.
I told you not to write that bastard in the house. Sorry.
The cost for all these mistakes? Expensive repairs, a few scrapes, and maybe some bruised egos. But the amount of laughs they provide, priceless. Life can be so chaotic, so why not take a break from the rat race with a nice, soothing musical interlude? Tonight, world-renowned songstress Donatella Don Quixote dazzles us with her golden sound, accompanied by violinist Belinda. Bravissimo! When it comes to athletic prowess, there really are some people who are truly in a league of their own. It's important to use the proper technique when executing the perfect swing.
Feet, stance, lift, wrist, twist, heel, hold.
That was not the proper technique. And remember, the object in golf is to move the ball forward. Not that. And in this corner, weighing in at 1 stone too many. When you're in a league of your own, it's okay to show off a little. Not when you're bringing up the rear. Not sure how these blokes perform on the field, but when it comes to the team handshake, they are definitely in a league of their own. Of course, being a star athlete isn't just about pushing yourself, it's also about knowing your limits.
Alright, I gotta let go of her. Let me go first.
Discovering what those limits are can be painful. There's nothing in the world that Kyle loved more than sailing the open seas. The sun on his skin, the wind in his hair, the sea in his face. This is Andrew. Andrew is a bloke who is truly in a league all his own. Wow, not bad. I mean, it's no stride, but not bad. Wait, is he really going to try to pick it up? Amazing. Like we said, a league all his own. To excel at sports takes strength, agility, and endurance. That and putting your best foot forward. Or backwards if you're Andrew. Still to come, blinded by science. Fashion faux pas. Dumb and Dumber. Plus, we reveal tonight's highly coveted Star of the Week awards when Now That's Funny returns.
We all have a tour in our life when we see a strip file overhead.
The planes that Britain built helped build our nation.
It was incredible for Britain to produce the first vertical takeoff and landing aircraft.
We'll be revealing how British-built planes revolutionised aerial combat. What did the Lancaster do for us? It led Europe to freedom. British planes that won the war with Rob Bell. Starts Friday at 9 on Channel 5 and My 5.
Come on in! The water's fine. Did you know that if you were to travel at the speed of light, you could circle the globe an incredible 7.5 times in just 1 second? But what's the rush? In life, no one really expects you to give 110%. However, there are definitely times when you could at least have tried a little harder. That time you actually did give it your all, but still came up a little short. That time you put a lot of effort into creating a mock survival situation, and not enough effort into figuring out how to survive it.
They said that it don't matter how they take you up, if you do this simple move, you can get out of it. So you put your hands over top of your head like this,
Straight down the middle.
you go. Something.
And finally, the time you should have spent a little less energy whinging and more energy actually trying.
I don't know what to do. Can you get my stand up? No. Yes. No, there's too deep. Too deep here.
Okay.
Oh no.
Hopefully, next time Sarah tries a little harder to find a better boating partner. So, if you're going to go for gold, make sure you give it your all. Or at least try a little harder than this.
Too deep.
If the great Sir Isaac Newton came up with the entire theory of gravity after getting hit on the head with an apple, there's still hope for these scientists. For every kid who's dozed off in chemistry class, look what you've missed. Morgan and her dad are working on a science project to demonstrate how hot air rises. Morgan is doing a good job holding up her end, and her dad is doing a fine job burning it to a crisp. Mr. Phillips had a special experiment for his secondary students that he saved for the end of each year.
Ooh.
And bringing it in
2 hours and 18 minutes. Oh my God.
gas. He hoped to prove the theory that what you can't see can definitely hurt
Guys, know what? I just got this grand idea to get fucking wine using a sorcery machine and this push it in your board. By the way, the wine, it's not for me, it's for my dad. I just got the idea.
What a thoughtful son.
When you hear like two like rumble kind of sounds, that means it's done. So like a loud buzz.
The carbonated beverage industry has put thousands of hours of research into figuring out the exact right amount of CO2 to inject into every bottle. Young Noah, on the other hand, does anyone know how tried to get red wine out of everything.
Oh my god!
No.
Not sure what this experiment is.
No! Where's the leaf?
Are they trying to create some sort of chemical reaction? Or perhaps they're just trying to demonstrate how scientific debate fuels discovery.
Yeah, but who's gonna go cave with it?
No one.
Oh my god. She has to.
It was just an experiment in stupidity. Being a science teacher doesn't actually pay that much, and it wasn't always easy for Mr. Higgins to make ends meet, so he figured out a way to save on household expenses. He just showered at work. You don't become the next Newton without a little trial and error. So just keep experimenting. Because when it comes to science at least, what are to do? In the privacy of your own room, you can pretty much do anything you want without the fear of ridicule. Just make sure to turn off your webcam. Meet Sven. There's more to him than meets the eye. But also plenty that does. When his girlfriend's out shopping, he likes to raid her closet and get a little crazy. Don't be daft. Sven does not have a girlfriend. Yet. But with moves like these, she can't be far behind. Until his princess in shining cut-off shows up, Sven will just have to continue being his own dance partner. He doesn't seem to mind. Oh sure, you could go your own way, but sometimes it's much more fun to follow the leader. One day, he'll be teaching his boy to shave. Until then... These two are so in sync. It's hard to tell where one begins and the other ends. I'm not sure who's imitating who on this one. Sure is cute though. Frustrated by little Oren's inability to use his banter, Rex took matters into his own paws. Just follow the bouncing dog, Oren. Not everyone is born knowing how to dance, but that's okay. You can always follow your partner's lead. Or you could just sit this one out. Dad's afternoon of teaching his girls how to have fun with the sprinkler was going swimmingly. Right up until it wasn't. wanting to be outdone by his friend Peter's rock skipping, Roland decided to do a little showing off of his own. Well, he did skip the rocks. You've heard of the expression, like father, like son. It works for daughters too. It's the latest psychotherapy craze sweeping the globe, embracing your inner toddler. It does look therapeutic. Don't look now. But it's 5 hits for the price of 1. Call it impersonation, mimicry, or copy. It's true. Imitation really is the sincerest form of flattery. Now quit copying me. Sometimes the greatest gifts in life don't come in gift-wrapped boxes.
Read the label.
Read the label.
Hey Lily, a happy birthday. Lots of love from your baby sister. Or baby brother. Can't wait to meet you after Christmas. My new brother.
Sister, yeah. Mummy's having a baby.
What is she?
Are you happy? Oh, I love you. Are you happy? Oh, yeah, I love you. I hope these are tears of happiness.
Are you actually having a baby?
Super critical, so.
Oh, they know. Show her the pictures, Dad.
Yeah.
Your birthday wish came true.
Thank you.
That was so sweet. But we still have one wonderful question. What's in the box?
Oh,
Coming up at Rodown Showdown. And finally, it's time to reveal tonight's Laugh Out Loud Funny Stars of the Week. All this when Now That's Funny continues.
April 2010. Every plane is grounded. Thousands are stranded as the black cloud advances.
This is as close as we dare go.
Second by second, we uncover the event that turned our skies black.
We aren't vulnerable. Of course it can happen again.
Ash Cloud, the week the world stopped. Wednesday at 9 on Channel 5 and My 5.
Don't look now. We're back with more fun. We are just minutes away from revealing our Stars of the Week. But first, it's time for our Tweet of the Week. This week's question comes to us from @DartSecretsRevealed499, who asks, I recently read about a secret society called the Bowl and Scones and a bizarre secret handshake they use when meeting fellow members. Any truth to this? Funny, you should ask at Dark Secrets Reveal 499. And while you should probably stop poking your nose around things you can't possibly begin to understand, watch and learn. Keep those tweets coming.
Yeah.
You've waited long enough, and now it's finally time to reveal our highly hilarious Stars of the Week.
Some kind of nest. There might be something alive in there. Very quiet.
When Ray heard strange scratching noises coming from his teeth, instead of doing the sensible thing, like moving, he decided to take a closer look. Okay, Ray, time to be brave. Sayonara, squirrel.
It's gone, it's gone. It's safe.
So Ray may have lost a little bit of his dignity,
It's safe.
but what he gains is this week's Bronze Star.
I heard you scream so loud. I know what to expect.
Meet Warren and Zevon. These are two blokes that really like to dance. All right, Zevon, time for the big finish. Yep, that'll leave you seeing stars. And one of those stars will be this week's always sterling Silver Star. Hang it above your doorway.
They cut what off?
My lips.
Oh, they didn't cut off your lips. You're looking at them.
Nice lipstick, Mom.
This is Emily, and she's still feeling the effects of having her wisdom teeth removed.
It's not lipstick. I didn't
put lipstick on so I wouldn't feel ugly.
Honey.
And I'm still ugly with no lips.
Where would I put lipstick if you didn't have lips?
No one has ever been kissed me. I can't feel them.
Because they're numb.
I can't feel them. It's a lie. To me. I thought we were going to get ice cream.
Honey, there's ice cream right next to you. They gave you ice cream.
Oh.
Show it to me.
Just to be clear, the name of the ice cream is called Moose Tracks.
Moose.
It's not a moose. They didn't kill a moose, honey. Honey, it's not a moose. that's just the name of the ice cream. I know.
Oh my god.
After the medication wears off, she'll realize she still has lips, she never ate an actual moose, and even better than that, she's this week's illustrious Gold Star winner.
Oh my god.
Maybe she'll want to celebrate with some ice cream. Can you believe it's over already? I know, right? How can so many laughs fly by so fast? Maybe it's just because we're having that much fun. In fact, let's make sure to do it all over again. And real soon.
Join this chicken novel
Never a dull moment.
for some inspiration
Try my brand new flavour slush. It's free.
and a cheap British summer getaway.
We can always have a little deal on the price.
Bargain Loving Drinks by the Sea. Starts Sunday at 8 on Channel 5 and My 5.
A squirrel with a painful mouth is driving them nuts now in Wildlife SOS.
Goliath watches patiently. Kishel sponsors your soft spot for animals on Channel 5.
Beautiful. We're ready to go.
In this episode, a hedgehog is tracked down a drain. We have an update on CT the badger cub, and we release a fox that's now fully recovered. But first, the squirrel's been brought in with a serious tooth deformity.
We got one.
Joyce, one of our volunteer vets, has decided that the squirrel must be put down at once. But the deformity, gruesome as it may be, is interesting to Louise and Christine, who are both volunteer supervisors.
It's an overgrown tooth.
Isn't that
It
terrible?
moves as well, so it's been wiggling about his face.
Grown right in.
Awful.
And yet it can still eat, apparently.
Look at that now, look. No, they're all overgrown, aren't they? There are clippers in there.
There are proper clippers in mine.
Definitely. Like, oh, those ones, those are the ones I use.
I like the top two face bend that way. Poor little bugger. How can he eat with all his teeth bent down like that?
Because they're rodents like rabbits and squirrels, their teeth wear down, grow and wear down all the time. And if they don't line up, like that, they overgrow. So if he's had an accident and they've gone out of sync, they've just grown. And they just keep growing. They have to wear down, wear against each other.
There was no chance for the squirrel. I've been called to rescue what appears to be a perfectly healthy hedgehog that's fallen into a drain.
Call ourselves a hedgehog. Hi. You've got a hedgehog, and I've no idea how to get this out. Sorry.
The first thing I had to do is establish exactly where the hedgehog is.
Right.
Down here.
What? This is the name. He's not in here. He's in
Right.
that goes down into the sewer.
Okay.
Right.
Now he is.
He's up at the other end.
Yeah. When we found him,
Right.
sitting out here, and I tried to get him. I couldn't get a grip on him. And then we talked about putting water through, and then we thought about prodding him through,
Right.
and then I thought we could.
He's obviously moved along.
Right. Right. He says, not knowing what the first thing to do is. I think, have you got a hose pipe?
Yeah.
Right.
But make sure he doesn't get through.
Right. No, okay. I'm just going to see roughly where he is.
Closer at that end, on this end.
Yeah. I mean, pushing backwards, it might be. Lovely, thanks very much. Dino rod at ill service, I think, isn't it? So what do you think? I have no idea. This is a novelty first for me.
I don't think he's very far down from this end.
Can you put your foot on that, sir? Is that possible? And I'll just work out roughly where he's, how far he's gone.
Oh.
That's it. Lovely.
Obviously, I need to get him to one end, but I don't want to injure him in the process.
How the distance he is away. Yeah, he's right in the middle there. It's what's called thinking on your feet, isn't it?
Why did he put the hose behind him and pushed him through?
Probably he's going to do that. It's just it's a long way to push him.
It's about halfway, no, about a third of the way.
It's not going to be helpful, is it?
That pipe's never been used, so there's nothing in it,
Right.
other than water.
Suppose we speak to him nicely. Hello, go backwards. Oh dear.
This may take some time. Back at the centre, Christine has an extraction of a different kind to deal with. What is she doing? She needs to x-ray a pigeon that swallowed a fishhook.
1545. Terrible chest, that'll do. 1545. Now, bird, this could be difficult. Down straight. I'm going to make it big enough, do I? I've got my hand in it now. Yeah. Now stay there. Don't move. Okay, I have it down the cover his head up. Cover his head up. I want his head, don't I? Oh no, I don't. Not his little tiny bit of head. Stretch your neck out, mate. Catchy old feet you've got. Now, let's just have a little think about this. 15. That's not bad.
Once the x-ray is developed, we'll be able to decide on the safest way to recover the fishhook. Meanwhile, back at the drain,
Frustrated with idea how to do it, really.
no progress so far, but I'm not giving up until this hedgehog's safe.
Oh, I am going to bed. I'm a bit tired. See ya.